Welcome back, Empire Builders. It's your host, Bridget Eileen Cisco. I wanted to change things up a little bit this week, so I'm actually recording this on video. That way you can go over to YouTube or LinkedIn and actually watch this video if you would like to, if you're the visual person and you want to see my hand gestures and animations. But you may just be listening to this on the podcast this week. So what is our topic for today? This is all about preparing for your inevitable creative success. I'm a Kundalini yogi. I've been a part of Aquarian Women's Leadership Society, a online women's yoga community that focuses on Kundalini yoga, the Kundalini yoga technology, for a couple of years now. My teacher, Guru Jagat, talks about this idea how most of us desire success, right? That we say we want X, Y, and Z. But most of us don't actually prepare for that success. We don't prepare for it mentally. We don't prepare for it physically, because most of the time we never actually allow ourselves to step into the space of, wow, what would this actually look like if I had this? If I were to able to receive this fully in my field, what would this look like? You may desire 6 figures in your business. You may desire a team. You may desire to speak on stage or start your own podcast or be interviewed on podcasts or have employees or buy a house or be on TV. But have you ever allowed yourself to step into what would this actually look like, to hold this in my field, to actually feel the wish fulfilled? I love all things metaphysical, right? Beyond the physical realm, where things don't necessarily make sense. Although quantum physics is really proving this, and Dr. Joe Dispenza is a really great pioneer in this field because he's doing a lot of the science to prove what many of the ancient yoga traditions and many of the ancient traditions have believed for a very long time: the power of the mind, the power of the quantum field as a creative zone, a creative space where all possibility and all potentiality lie. So we desire the success. We want the thing. And I want you to bring that into your mind now. It's like, what do I want to bring into my life? Maybe it's the TEDx talk. Maybe it's to leave your job and start a business if you're listening to this podcast and you're kind of still in that space. So what would it actually look like? That's one part of this. And the other part is actually preparing, right? Our nervous system, our mind, our body, our business, our lifestyle, how we hold ourselves, how we present ourselves to the world to be able to hold and navigate this so-called success. I talk about this a lot with the authors in Exalted Publishing House because many have a dream to be a published author, and that's why they arrived and wanted to do a multi-author book with us. And yet when we get really close to that wish being fulfilled, that thing actually coming into our reality, we panic because we are expanding the threshold of what we perceive to be possible for ourselves, right? It was a dream, it was a goal, but we never allowed ourselves to sit with, what would this actually look like in my life? Like, who am I to hold this? There's a bit of an identity shift that goes on here. And of course, throughout our entire life, we're experiencing many of these identity shifts. I know I experienced this when I got married. It was like, oh my God, my last name is changing too. Who am I? Or when I left my job, a corporate job, when I became a yoga teacher, who am I? We're constantly evolving, growing, and changing and shifting. These outside personas, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to catch up with it. So how can we prepare for our inevitable creative success? Because if you are here listening to this, that means that you believe in yourself. You believe in creative potential. You have dreams. You have goals. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you're a writer. Maybe you're a creator in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you love to create video content and you're highly, highly creative. Maybe you are a singer. Maybe you have this business idea where it's like, I need to bring this onto the planet because it will help people. So you have the idea, but how can we actually prepare for the success? How can we prepare you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in all fields, all planes of your existence to be able to hold this? A couple of years ago, within Aquarian Women's Leadership Society, we did what's called the prosperity game. And this was by Abraham Hicks. So if anyone knows what or who Abraham Hicks is, it's an entity channeled by two people, Esther, and I forget her husband's name. I think he's passed on. And the whole idea of this prosperity game is to allow ourselves to expand what we think is possible for ourselves. And each day, you have this piece of paper. Each day, you receive more money into your bank account. And each day, you have to spend that full amount of money. See, we desire money, but most of us don't know what to do with money. We're like, we want it, but we don't actually have a place to put it. So each day, say we start with $1,000. Then the next day, you're going to have 2,000, then 4,000. So it compounds every single day. So that adds up pretty quickly. And $1,000, pretty easy to spend. I'm like, okay, I'll probably invest in maybe a program, or I'll invest in some new technology for the business, or I'll invest in a retreat or something for myself. Because we've probably been like, I can handle that much. And then as the days go on, you start to enter this realm of, oh shit, I wasn't expecting this. Because when you get to, $100,000, then $200,000, then $400,000, and then $800,000, and then $1.6 million to spend in a day, all of a sudden, you're not too sure what to do with it. Right? We desire the money, but we don't actually know what we do with the money. We don't actually know what we do with our success, what our life would look like to have that, what it would feel like, how we would hold ourselves, what we would adorn our body with the clothing when we wear. So each day, you have to expand in this game. I'm still using that as an example. Each day in this game, you have to start to expand your mind more and more and more. And it's funny because sometimes I look back on this game, and it's very interesting to see some of the things, and I'll give you some examples. So when I had $50 million to spend, I bought a castle in Kenmare, Ireland. My family is Irish, so that was fun. I also donated to Rama, which is the school of Kundalini Yoga. I donated $24 million to Charity Water. With $75 million, I started impact angel investing for water, organic seed companies, clothing, things that I believe in. Then with $28 million, I gave $50 to 550,000 homeless people. With $100 million, I created an organization to change the post-prison system with organic food, an entire business to employ people in multiple locations, community, music, spiritual center. So you can start to see that you have to begin to go beyond the confines of what your mind may have told you was possible. You have to start to enter different spaces. And let's bring it back to this whole concept of preparing for your inevitable creative success. You desire to hit the six figures in your business. But have you ever asked yourself, what is my life going to look like? What am I going to put that money to? Right? Do you have employees? Maybe you hire an accountant, maybe you hire a legal team. There's going to be things that you begin to do with this money. And one way you can prepare yourself for that now is to start asking yourself these questions. Another thing I do to prepare myself for my business success, and for me, the business success, it might be monetary, but it also might be what I'm physically doing with myself and my gifts. So I'll go on these walks, and I literally, I feel like I tap into a childlike self because I am playing pretend, right? So some people might think this is delusional and crazy, and that's fine and good. And this is what I do, and it works. So I asked myself, how would I walk down the street if I had this thing? What would I wear? What conversations would I be having? How would I be spending my time? Who would I be spending my time with? And the same in meditation, right? Because when we're in meditation, we're in an altered brainwave state. Typically during our waking hours, we're in this beta brainwave state where the mind is very active. It's more analytical, it's more logical, it's more rational and reasoning. But when the brain waves start to slow down, we start to move into delta and theta, maybe even gamma. That's much deeper, deeper. We start to move into the meditative mind, a space more of imagination and creativity. Right? Have you ever noticed when you're in a highly creative state, you're not really like thinking about time or some more logical concepts that we hold on to in this world? So when we're in meditation, we're able to tap into this space of imagination, right? Of feeling the wish fulfilled, of really bringing forth the emotions associated with that which we desire, of imagining what life would look like and who we would be. And I mean, I've done this for so many aspects of my life. I've done this when my husband and I really wanted to buy the house that we live in now. We would sit in meditation and feel ourselves here. We could feel it. We would envision what it looked like. And we would feel this just proud feeling of this groundedness of being home. Because we've lived in like 4 different houses in the last 4 years of knowing each other. So maybe you go on a walk and you start speaking what it is that you desire, but then you take it a step further and you say, what would life look like? How would you introduce yourself? And of course, those who don't understand may think this is delusional, and I wrote this down before. This may seem delusional to some who don't understand the maneuverability of time and space and the mind. Right? These concepts might seem delusional to some who don't understand the magnitude of the maneuverability of time, space, and the mind. So I invite you now into really thinking about for yourself, how am I preparing for my inevitable success? Right? If your book were to hit the bestseller charts, if your book were to hit the New York Times bestselling charts, if you were to be asked to speak in Poland, that was just my example. How are you preparing for your inevitable creative success? Some things I thought about as I was preparing for today. Cleaning up your home environment. How does this home environment depict the success that which you desire? Your car, your clothing, right? Sometimes when I want to step into a little bit of a different space of my success, I will adorn myself in the cutest outfit. Of course, I wear earrings because earrings are my thing. I will put on a beautiful, beautiful dress, cute sandals, a nice handbag. And for me, this is beyond just being materialistic. For me, this is how do I adorn myself in the vision of success I hold for myself. I love a beautiful aesthetic. I also love yoga pants and comfortable clothing. And yet, when I want to step into like that badass, rock in the world, strength from within, powerful woman energy, I'm going to adorn my body with clothing and jewelry in a way that just makes me feel like I can light up the world, and I will light up the world. Also, how do you hold yourself? So another thing I find very interesting is posture. So if you were to have this success in your life, if you were to hit the 6 figures in your business, if you were to, finally finish the book that you've been wanting to read for ever and ever and ever, how would you hold yourself, right, physically? Like, how do you stand? Is your chest lifted? Or are your shoulders kind of rounded forward, right? This is actually a sign of a little bit of insecurity. And we can't take deep breaths like that, by the way. So are you standing nice and tall? How do you speak about yourself? I love the teaching in sound and Nada yoga that all sound and existence comes from the navel center because that is where we're connected to our mother, the umbilical cord. All sound starts there. So if we want to be able to project presence, Not power as in like I'm better than you, but a deep inner confidence and resilience. We start by speaking from the navel instead of just the throat, which is up here. It feels a little softer. And of course, time and place, right? If I'm teaching a yoga class, I'm going to probably tap into that. But I'm going to start the sound from my navel. So, how do you speak about yourself? How do you speak about your life, your existence on this beautiful, beautiful planet? If you were to speak on TV, how would you spend your time? And this is something I've experienced for myself, right? Because we are so habitual and patterned as human beings on this planet. So, when we have to change what it is that we do on a day to day, daily basis, our system is like, what? Why are you spending time doing that? That's not how you should do this. Right. When I was preparing for some of these upcoming talks, I had to really shift into the space of, okay, I'm now spending my time and it is still productive, right, and worthy by practicing and preparing for the talk, which was challenging because it's like, oh, well, I should be checking the email and I should be creating blah, 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 and this content and having conversations. So if your goal, your wish, your success looks different than your current situation, you have to focus on how are you spending your time? What are the promoting habits versus the demoting habits? What are you doing for yourself? How do you spend your time? So we're going to wrap it up for today. And I want you to tag me on Instagram at She Builds Empires Podcast. Let me know what your creative, inevitable success looks like and how are you preparing yourself for this creative, inevitable success? Because I know it's so possible. Anything and everything is possible. How are you preparing? I believe in you. You can do this. Rock on. And I'll talk to you later.